Well, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. We're all in our places, not wearing a shoe. I just made that up right off the top of my head. That's right. I am feeling really good today. It's leftover residual happiness. That's right. I used a word with more than four letters. Public school. From yesterday. Wow, what a great time. And look, did I clean my nose? Oh Lord. Anyway, um, yesterday was a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. We had those 19 kids from across the United States, and I'm still flying high on cloud nine because it was such a wonderful time, and the kids had a great time. The parents had a great time. We all had a great time. I hope you caught that. If not, get over to my YouTube channel, Loren Michaels Harris, and watch the replay, or you can watch it right here on Bathrobe Moments. It's right somewhere when you first come in. Just scroll, you'll see it. Wonderful, wonderful insights from these kids. I think they really know what they're talking about. And get over and support them. Watch the episode, share the episode, and let's stand behind and beside our kids, shall we? Welcome to the show. Good morning to you. It's Thursday. We've almost done it. Worked our way all the way through. Do you find if you work from home, which somehow we all do, you're at home, but if you're working in particular for home, what is it for you? I'd like to know. Do you feel like your days are longer now? Even though we're working from the same spot, or are they moving by at a rapid pace? For me, for the most part, it seems like the days are longer because I don't go out. I used to pop out for lunch and pop back in, or run to CVS or do whatever, run over to Target. Now I don't do anything but walk outside and go around the yard and look at the flowers and go to the mailbox, and that's pretty much it. So I was just curious. Let me know. Help me welcome to the show, won't you please? She's always here. She's under contract. My sidekick, my best gal, Miss Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. Yeah, we're just drinking regular Folgers now. No more luxuries. These are hard times. Hard times. And, hey, I just wondered, is that why Brian hasn't bought me any flavored coffee? What next? Regular eggs instead of Eggland's Best? I think not. There's the bell of purpose. If you have not seen this, I don't know where you've been, or maybe you're new. That's the only way you won't know what this is. This is new to season 4. It is the bell of purpose, which means when our guest says something that's worthy of a bell ringer, it means, wow, he put a real humdinger out there. It means that we've just heard something we need to get behind, sink our teeth in, or at least say, can I get an amen up in here too, right? It can also be rang when you put something on the screen in the form of a comment that is just like over the top greatness. We will acknowledge and celebrate that as well with the ringing of the bell of purpose. So that's when you get some hearts on the screen. You're also going to see me from time to time. I got this new thing with this new mic, right? So I can't use I have to unplug my, I'm so lazy. I have to unplug my, what do you call this thing? Mouse, to be able to, plug in the new mic. And it sucks because I can't get it out of my head that it's not connected. So it's just not as fun than just when you're just, scooting around. So anyway, I'll also do this. I'll throw this up on the screen. Show our guests some love. Hit the hearts. It's not going to kill you. Doesn't bleed. Doesn't cut you. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't cost. It's free. Show some support. This is your way to be a part of something greater than yourself. Now, if you want to take that, being a part of something greater than yourself, even a step further, share it out. Share the broadcast out. Hit the button that says invite friends or start a watch party. It's just that simple. Could you do that for us, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Today's guest he's been here before. He's even in the show opener. Except, people, when they're first on the show, they go all the way. They put on a robe and have a mug and are up early and they're here on time. After 2 or 3 times, well, that's another show. Anyway, I wasn't forced to say any of what I'm about to say. In addition to being my most favorite photographer in the world, please release my grandmother. Scott is the vice president of the Protective Service Group for Huffmaster, Inc. He is responsible for the day-to-day management of the division, which includes manned guarding. Ooh, ominous. Virtual security center. Okay, training, executive protection, and consulting. And Whitney Houston, bodyguard. Did you get that one? Executive protection, like a bodyguard. Okay, Scott has over 40 years in public and private security service, firefighting, paramedic, police officers, and is considered a subject matter expert in workplace violence prevention, critical. Bitch, bring your ass outside. I want you to. I dare that kind of stuff. Employees in the parking lot is what I think it means. We're going to find out. Scott is a frequent speaker on safety and security related subjects and has spoken at businesses, colleges, universities, seminars, and organizational meetings throughout the country. He has been published in several industry trade magazines and has made numerous radio and television appearances on various security related topics. And today we are going to get the nitty gritty, the down dirty, spill the tea, the 411, all of it on what's going on in this country, as much as he can tell us without coming up missing. So I'm gonna just get him in here because there's another back door to this whole COVID-19 and pandemic and all this stuff that a lot of us, let's just put it this way. We're not privy to everything. Isn't that right, Mr. Scott?
That would be correct, Mr. Harris.
And he's not that excitable. So you guys make sure you hold on to your coffee. I'm kidding. That's for forcing me to say you're my, you know what? And let's just get this off the table. Thank you, Kim, for giving your husband a great headshot to use next time. Shaking my head. What was that? You were in the car driving or something? Said, let me send Loren any old thing.
It was a selfie that was still on my computer, and you're demanding thing about getting a bio and a headshot to you right now. That's what I did. So.
Like Les Brown says, if we stay ready, we ain't got to get ready. Just saying. Photographer. Anyway, you are my favorite photographer, even though there was a gun to my head. You really are, though. Scott's been with me since day one. And wow, what a ride it's been. So let's just get that out of the way. I was trying to reach you because I want to put your web addresses up on the screen today. That's why I actually called, and you were on the phone with the White House. So I wasn't able to get that. But what is it? Because I can still put it in. What connector would you like me to put on the screen for everyone?
Well, you can put in the Huffmaster one, HUFFMASTER.com, or my personal website is GainSecuritySolutions.com.
Oh, yeah.
Gain is GANE. Yeah.
Security. I know that one. Solutions.com. Okay, we'll get that up. Tech department, get on that, won't you, please? I sure will. That was me. So anyway, welcome to the show. Now to get serious, did you see? Well, your son and your nephew were on the show yesterday.
Yeah, they did a great job.
They did. I detected a little love connection between Aiden's so funny. We watched it 3 times last night when I said, Aiden, I see the way you're looking across the screen at Emma. And then he took his head and went like this, though.
Okay. Yeah, that was funny.
That was really funny. And she was like, oh, my God, I'm going to die. It was really cute. They're both going to be seniors. You never know. And, of course, Dr. Brian was like, can you imagine if Aiden and Emma actually ended up being together? And then I saw Pete in my mind. I was like, no, I'm just kidding. Loren, that's him doing that to me. So anyway, what a great day.
He does have,
He
does have wheels. So
I know.
That's within the realm of possibility.
It is. And she didn't say anything to the contrary when we called last night for follow-up. So I was like, They're both great kids. Yesterday was a wonderful day. We learned a lot. We had a lot of insight, things that people don't usually get to hear. We're inundated every day with the governor's updates, the president's updates, the CDC, Dr. F, all those and more. And that's why we had the special with the kids, Forgotten Voices. And this is also what we're going to talk about today is another part of the equation that is underrepresented for reasons that what you're going to talk about. So tell people what it is you really do. I always picture the father from the Fockers. You know how he had his little secret thing downstairs. Is that
cave of solitude? Right.
Yeah. What does a security specialist actually do?
So I consult with a number of Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies on how to better protect their facility and their people. So in the pandemic, there are a lot of businesses, small businesses are shut down, and but the larger businesses, especially those that are part of the critical infrastructure. So critical infrastructure are, the basic necessities that we have: food, water, shelter, clothing, that type of stuff. So all of the businesses that support those are all part of the critical infrastructure, and you've got electricity and water and all that stuff that goes along with it. So I consult mainly with those companies that are part of the critical infrastructure.
Critical
And
critical infrastructure. Okay, I
right.
thought so. I thought so. I'm going to have to ask you to refrain from using words with more than, don't string more than 2 words together that have more than 5 letters. You got that?
I'll try my best.
Okay. Again, public school. So so take us through, what did it look like pre-pandemic for you? I know you were always on a plane, always in somebody's hotel. And now, how are you doing your job?
So now it's just like you and I are talking today. A lot of it is through go to meetings and Skype and that type of stuff. We're doing a lot of that. I do have in my back pocket a letter that says that I'm an essential critical infrastructure worker, and I can travel as long as the company that I'm going to is accepting visitors.
Oh,
So
if they're okay. So are you still traveling at all?
I'll start traveling again in May.
In May.
Yeah, I've got a couple of I'll be assisting Department of Homeland Security on a couple of inspections in May. And then we've already got permission from the company, and we're all set up to go. So.
What was, I just want to get the name out there because I can't find my napkin that I wrote it on a week and a half ago. Go figure. I don't know what happens to all those notepads known as napkins and paper towels that I leave on my desk. They have great things on them. And then, here's one right here. Blood transfusion today at 4:00. Just kidding. That's how all the great information gets thrown away because I use it to blow my nose. Shaking my head. Scott, you mentioned, this is why we're here today, actually. When we were just chopping it up about a week or 2 ago, you said something. What is that category of businesses? And I said, what's that? I'd never heard of it. And I asked like 6 people. I even had a Zoom meeting later that day with our Capitol Hill people for this thing we're doing for One Voice for Change. And I thought, surely they'll know. And I said, hey, you guys are familiar with, and I said it, and they're like, what? And that shocked me. So remember, you were talking about the companies that come up with the cleaning products and stuff like that, and it's a name for that category.
Right. And they're all part of now. They are all now part of the critical infrastructure.
Critical infrastructure. But what did we call that the other day?
Well, I can't talk about that.
That's
in the public forum.
What I thought, we couldn't say the names of companies. But
yeah, and I can't talk. Yeah, I can't talk about the group either. I mean, that was between you and I.
So. Well, there you go, folks. Please, again, release my grandmother. Anyway, I told you, Fockers, all day. You thought I was kidding. So, okay, right. What can we talk about? If I'd have known that, I'd have had your wife on here today. Jeez.
Well, she's sitting in the other room. I can pass it off for her.
And she's watching. Tell her to get. Oh boy,
yeah, she
came and just pushed you out of the way. How funny that would be. I have plenty to say, which she does. Hi, honey. Scott, Brian says hi. Oh, you didn't even get words. You just got this. Okay, so Scott, seriously, let's talk about this. The hot topic right now, as far as the pandemic, is, in particular, the governor of Georgia jumping the gun, and even the president says he's not in agreement with. That's just this morning, and that he thinks the governor of Georgia is moving too quickly. I think Friday he's going to open up hair salons and movie theaters and things like bars.
Right.
What do you say about that? The kids yesterday unanimously across the board agreed that we need to stay at home a little bit longer. What do you say about that?
Well, I think now it depends on the state. I look at the numbers every day, state by state. Some of my clients, I do briefing reports on peaks and valleys, and so I look a lot at the numbers, the number of tests, and try to interpret those. Is it trending downward? And that's what they're all looking at. About a week and a half ago, the FEMA and DHS released tentative guidelines on how to return back to work, how to turn your business and return your business back to work under what's going to be essentially the new normal. So you can rest assured for the next number of months, you're going to continue with the social distancing and with reminders to wash your hands and all of those things that we've been drilled into our heads for the last 6 weeks. But in factories and other businesses, they have the challenge of maintaining that social distance and what they need to do to maintain that. So it's literally reconfiguring some workstations.
Yeah.
I wish I owned stock in a plexiglass company, because plexiglass is going to be, it is right now very popular. All the grocery stores have plexiglass windows and stuff like that. So imagine that now, especially if you're working in a factory, they're going to have to reconfigure workstations to allow for, if they can't maintain that social distance, there's going to be some type of barrier between the workers. So
for those of us that would like to plan our vacations to Cancun, Key West, et al., probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, there's still a ban for, Mexico, Canada, and U.S. have all agreed in a joint agreement that they've extended the non-travel ban until at least June 1st. So you can't leave the country without having that one of those letters that I carry in my back pocket to get out of the country. So there won't be any pleasure type stuff going to Canada or Mexico.
Okay, well, we don't have to worry about Kim knocking you out of the primary chair this morning, because she says, nope, I haven't visited hair and makeup this morning. Hi, Brian. Okay. And then Tea Leaves, speaking to the Georgia thing, what does she say here? She goes, even after the 30th, Georgia will still be practicing social distancing. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So, Scott,
and
go ahead.
And Georgia isn't the only one. Florida is opening up beaches. North Carolina is opening up beaches. And you'll probably see there are several states in the western part of the Midwest, just short of the West Coast, all of those, the Dakotas and Idahos and the less populous states, you'll see them fairly quickly after May 1st return and drop a lot of the restrictions. They'll probably still keep social distancing and hand washing as part of their regime, but you'll see a lot of those states, because one, the number of positive tests are extremely low. The death rate is the same, extremely low in those states, but they're less populous and that type of stuff.
But the thing is, people travel.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So how do those states plan on maintaining those low numbers if Aunt Clara and Uncle Ben run into New York to catch Hamilton and then come home and go watch their granddaughter perform Swan Lake? See how I tied all that entertainment together? That's how you do it.
You're very good at that.
Thank you. Thank you. But you get my point.
So no, absolutely. And again, it's up to the governor of each state on where those restrictions are going to lie, and how they're going to return the state to work.
You know,
We face some of the same challenges here in Michigan as you do in Illinois, because we got two of the 5 extreme hotspots in the country right now. Over in Detroit and Chicago are hotspots.
true.
So how are we? And I know that they are putting together tentative plans on how to return Chicago and Detroit back to what's going to be the new normal for the next
one of the things
6 to 10 months.
8 to 10 months. 8 to 10 months. So here's what I'm thinking. Tell me what you think. I think that it's really going to boil down to, even when they loosen the restrictions and whatnot, you just have to do the smart things, not just act like you can't go along and act like it's over, because, I am a little concerned about the next wave of this. And the thing about, and why? Because, for instance, on yesterday's show, it really shocked me. I'm keeping it real. It really shocked me. I expected a lot of the kids to raise their hands, but on every screen, as we moved across the country, when I asked how many of you, by show of hands, know someone who was positive with this virus or has died from it, and every hand went up. And these are kids. And poor little Jordan in New Jersey, 4 people in his family, only one to survive was his grandmother, the only one to recover.
Right.
Two uncles and an aunt all perished with complications from COVID-19. So, I mean, when you see something like that so close to you, you can't help but think, oh my goodness, and even Trump said, I heard it this morning on the BBC that he said, I don't agree with the Georgia governor. I think he just needs to wait just a little bit longer. So, because let me ask you this, because of where you sit, and I know you can't talk about certain things, but yes or no, is it true? There's a lot of stuff that we, as just regular constituents, we don't have. They don't release all the news to us. I mean, because look, they say something about this, everybody panics, and there's no toilet paper. If they were to release everything the way it is, we'd have anarchy, I believe. So, I mean, do you agree there's a lot of the puzzle of the equation that we don't have?
Well, and my view is that the only way that we're going to make people, and it's an educative process. There is good and bad information out there, but leaving it in the hands of the politicians is not, in my opinion, the way to go. We have scientists and medical professionals, not necessarily TV doctors. We have true medical professionals, and scientists are the ones that are going to figure this out, and that's the ones that we should be hearing this information from. Like I said, you're hearing the information that the TV stations and the politicians want you to hear.
Yeah,
and I get it. I get it in some respects, because they're trying to reach out to the entire populace to make them aware and bring enough fear that keeps them at bay and washing their hands and doing the social distancing and wearing the masks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There are other opinions from scientists that are to the contrary, because it's a very resilient virus that thrives on indoors.
Well,
so I've seen some doctors and scientists that saying, he really encourages people maintaining social distance, but get out and walk and get outside and clean your house completely and that kind of stuff,
Absolutely.
So
now here's one. Let me butt in here for a second, because here's the thing. I follow all the conveyor belts without sitting and riding on any one, if that makes any sense. I kind of, like Lucy and Ethel, when they were doing the chocolates, how the belt keeps going. I don't watch just one belt and what's on that belt, like the media or Dr. Fauci or this, that, and the other. But what I do is I watch how things come and go. For instance, this week, we're hearing brand new information about blood clotting and strokes. And with the people that are COVID-19 is now one of the symptoms is a stroke, and it's the first presenting symptom. And then they're seeing that it could be, so it's like, okay, how are we releasing or relaxing some things? I get it, the economy, because that's huge. And but still, we're still learning. This thing seems to be changing. It hasn't shown all the sides of its face yet. So we have to, in my opinion, just be very cognizant of the changes. Us, when I say us, we, I mean those of us sitting at home at the, mercy of what we hear in the media. Now, Tea Leaf says, I feel people need their jobs back. I agree. So is it still too soon to open up when families need income? But then on the other hand, is this you, Kim? The thing moved. Okay, wait a minute. Kim said, where is it? Okay, here it goes. Kim said, agree, Loren. It shouldn't depend on where we live, whether or not we're safe, or whether our healthcare workers have PPE. Now, this is a whole nother thing. Scott, have you personally spoken with anybody who works in an emergency room, is a trauma nurse or doctor, or works on an ICU ward, or maybe one of the COVID wards? Have you talked to any of those people?
Yes, I have.
And is it, we're not really seeing the face of what they deal with completely, are we? Because
but I can tell you there are a lot of health systems that are not in hotspots are laying off nurses because they've anticipated, they've ramped up, and now they're ramping back because for all intents and purposes that we are flattening the curve, and they don't have the business, thankfully, to support that. But even those hospitals early on, and as early as or as late as a week or so ago, they still don't have a normal routine supply of the PPE that they need. So, and God bless some of these small businesses that take it upon themselves. There's a clothing manufacturer in Schoolcraft, Michigan, that's stopped all production of any type of clothing and is now making masks that we're going to have. And there are a couple places in Indiana that are now making face shields that hospitals can use as protective equipment. So, we find a way, and I agree. I mean, with the proper plan on how they're going to maintain those guidelines and keep those guidelines that we have in place, we probably should start opening business back up.
I agree,
because it is an important part of the economy, and we can't have people sitting at home and worrying, well, are they going to have enough money to buy the toilet paper and the food that they need? So
how do you feel about the protest aspect of, you can't tell us what to do, it's against our constitutional rights, when it comes to something like this, and people just going and do it? Because there are people who have just blatantly ignored these stay-at-home mandates and stuff. Anyway, I see it right on my Facebook page. I was telling people I saw in Benton Harbor the other night, a woman that follows me had a birthday, and there was like 14 women, sitting around in her living room and kitchen, hooping it up like nobody's business. And a lot of them talked about how they had worked 10 and 12-hour shifts that day. Now, we all know down in that area, most likely that was either at a store or at one of the factories. I don't know. Are the factories still going down in that area?
Not unless they're deemed essential. No.
Unless they're deemed essential. So what about this, Scott? We all are on our devices now more than ever. The internet, the highway there is bumper to bumper, from people doing Zooms and trying to keep their businesses viable and this, that, and the other. But then we see these things. For instance, I saw a nurse the other day that had gone into her own little room at home and still was in her uniform, all this stuff, and was just broke down about how, hard it was, what she's seeing. I know she's working in one of the hot spots because she said she came there to help. But then you'll see things like, did you see that thing on Facebook the other day about, it said a hot mic in the briefing room where the president comes out and does this thing every day? There was a hot mic and it showed two guys in there talking. They didn't know the mic was on. And they were talking about certain parts of what's being released to us as being hoaxes, and only 0.1% of people were really, all these different things. Are people setting up things and putting it out there? It's so the fake news aspect. Do you hear things that go, can you look at something, Scott, and say, that ain't real?
Yeah, and there are several states that I monitor for my clients that they actually added tabs in their COVID response, or they've every state has stood up their own COVID website. You can go there for information. You'll see the daily totals on positive cases, and now finally they started adding in who's been tested, how many's been tested, and then how many have recovered, and how many hospital beds have been freed up, and that kind of stuff. So, and you won't see any of that on the 6 o'clock news. As far as, they'll just say that testing is continuing and that kind of stuff, but you won't see the numbers. But they also have within those websites now, in a lot of states, rumor control. So so as they hear it, as the state hears, they heard that there was an outbreak, or there was this, and somebody at the state is going and saying, no, that isn't it, or yeah, that was it, but this is what really happened. So they're spending a lot of time trying to tamp down or quell the fears that this fake news, and people take data and try to manipulate it to sensationalize it and bring it back to the masses, and that just exacerbates everything that's going on. Sorry about using the big word.
Oh, thank you. But you didn't string two together. We're okay. Thank you. But it is a reality, as crazy as it is, and crazy as it sounds, but it's a reality that there are people who do nothing more, just like hackers, that sit around, people that put viruses and stuff in, that sit around and get off on coming up with things that they know can make people go and go all crazy and sit back, giggle, and watch it happen. That's true, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very prevalent right now. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's a matter, in my opinion, of picking and choosing, and like I said, monitoring from a safe distance the various conveyor belts of information that are flowing through your world. For instance, I'm going to ask you about one of these other theories, because at first I laughed, they so crazy. But then when I started really going in and taking a look, I went, it is plausible. It is possible. And that is the 5G theory. Are you familiar with that one?
You'll have to enlighten me, sir.
That some people believe that the entire COVID-19 thing is connected to the 5G thing, because 5G was rolled out in Wuhan first. The entire area was blanketed with 5G. And then when they follow, if you really look at it, and which I did look into, if you follow the rollouts of 5G just a year or two ago, it followed the same places that COVID started really creating hotspots at. Because you haven't heard anything about that?
Yes, I've heard about that, and no, I don't necessarily follow that theory. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. I've heard that one. I've heard
biowarfare.
It was brought here to disrupt the 2020 election cycle, and there's a number of ways it's trying to be spun and trying to figure out what it is.
Control their population, and it got out of hand. And I heard another thing that it was supposed to be sprayed on the feet of soldiers for them to carry it into, it just, there are so many. So again, that's my point about all these different conveyor belts of information. just moving in every direction. And people are like, the old cartoon character, which way did he go? Which way did he go? So what is, in your opinion, Scott, and I'm sure that, in your opinion or in your professional opinion, what is the best way for us to proceed in a safe and congruent manner as people out here trying to turn the curve, but also, because here's what I love. Like one of the kids yesterday said, just because they open up your community doesn't mean you have to go and run to everything that's open.
Right.
Doesn't mean if the theater's open this Friday night, you need to be sitting in the front row.
Right.
And a lot of people are saying, I'm going to stay at home and see what happens to those people that go running out there. So what do you think we should do? Right. I saw Mildred go to Target last week without a mask on. Anybody seen her? I haven't seen her since. That kind of stuff will start. But what do you think we should do? Or what do you?
So I think, I think it's, I need to, because I'm privy to a lot more information. But the same thing is you need to pick one of those conveyor belts of information, and I would listen to the scientists and the medical professionals and look at, what that trend is. If your governor relaxes your restrictions, I would balance what that is. And then you need to make a conscious decision on how you're going to take care of yourself.
Okay.
Don't, if they loosen things up and you personally don't feel comfortable with that, keep doing what you're doing until you do feel comfortable.
Right. Now,
I would listen to the scientists I would listen to the scientists and the medical professionals, because they're the ones that are figuring this out. Right. And they have a better handle on, and they're not paid by the government. They don't politicize the things. They deal in scientific fact and what's actually happening. So make your decisions based on what you hear from them, and then the comfort factor you have in yourself and in the family on how you're going to move forward. But I think we do need to move forward and get out of this complete sensationalizing and fear mongering that the social media and some others that are doing.
The terminology or the phrasing that I feel is the most accurate, the most powerful piece right now for anyone, for all of us, is to start wrapping our minds around how we are going to individually adapt to whatever is next, is the two words new normal. Because It's not just a blanket. It's your own set of sheets, if you get what I mean. The new normal, there will be that one outside of our control, what businesses do, what government does, and so on and so forth. But there also will need to be a new normal for what we do within our own worlds, within our own homes, within our own family units and communities. So that's something to think at. I want to ask you, though, what news affiliate do you follow?
I don't.
None?
None.
Dang, I was hoping to get in, pull that tooth about which one was the most accurate. So you don't.
No, I sit in on 2 or 3 briefings a day. One by FEMA, one by the WHO, World Health Organization.
Oh my God!
And Homeland Security. So I get my information direct from the tap, as it were. I try not to. Every once in a while, I'll catch a 30-second news blip and commercial when I'm watching commercial TV, and they'll try to interject something in there. Or on the radio, they're always good about talking about the positive cases and the deaths, but they don't talk about much else.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't align myself with any of the news affiliates, but I'm in a position where I don't have to. I mean, I listen to what the government's agencies and other health agencies are talking about. So
right,
and not everybody has access to that. So
Well, let's switch gears a little itty bitty bit for the last 15 minutes here. Kim says, yep, in your area, since every area is different, pay attention to your local health department, for instance. And I agree with that. So let's talk about the change in society mindset, how we interact with each other. A lot of people have been talking about how, and I'm glad because I thought it was just me. I was feeling some kind of way at first when you go for a normal walk in your neighborhood and, it felt weird when you saw people approaching. It was like it was a cross between, ooh, don't get too close to me, and why are you acting like I have the plague? It was really a push me, pull me, a double-edged sword. And when we think about how we were just 4 weeks ago, I remember when I wasn't even wearing a bandana yet because we're still waiting on masks to arrive. And wasn't wearing gloves because it's kind of changed. But then all of a sudden, boom, it was a normal thing. It's a normal thing to put it on. What do you think, Scott? What does it look like if you were to go and hold up a kaleidoscope to the future 6 months from now, and just grab that number out of the air? 6 months from now, when you look through that kaleidoscope from where you sit, are we still wearing masks? Are we still wearing gloves? Are we still, my grocery store has every other lane is a different direction. Go this way to maintain social distancing. How much of the protocol do you still see us having to not mandate it, but just for safety? Pretty smart people will still do it.
So a lot depends on what we're seeing right now, and from the medical community, in that the use of plasma from recovered COVID patients to treat them. I don't know that we're close enough for a vaccine yet, but we do have some promising things on the horizon as far as treatment. So if you do get it, which would reduce the mortality and morbidity rate. So there is that. If you follow the virus itself, we know that as with other, and it's very similar to other viruses, SARS and other type of stuff. COVID-19 is simply a mutation of one of those other flus that has happened in history. We know that the summer months are ones that it reduces, and it may flare up again in the fall. So for me to be Nostradamus and say we're going to be wearing masks 6 months from now, it really depends on what the treatment and reduction over the summer months, and whether or not there's a flare up in the fall. So, I can't really say. We have to take a look at that, but I'm seeing a lot of positive things as far as treatments. I know in Sweden and Italy, they are really close to doing human trials on test vaccines, and there's a lot of promising stuff out there as far as treatments go. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I am too. A couple more things I want to try to cover before we run out of time today, but let's take a look at a couple of our comments. Shelley Dale, yes, one of my best friends is a local frontline nurse, and she called me personally asking me to consider not reopening so soon, to hold on a minute and wait. Kim said nobody made eye contact. It was creepy. Yes, it was. Shree, who had 2 kids on the show yesterday. How are you? Thanks for joining us today. And I see her. That's another thing I love, just a little off topic, but Shree's profile picture is some of the chalk art that's one of the most positive things, in my opinion, that has come as a result of this pandemic, is that the kids are just contributing positivity in all the ways that they can. I love that. So Shree says we need to reopen, but we need to follow the trends. Essential business stay open, masks for everyone. Educational is what we'll need to change the most. We will likely need more teachers in smaller classrooms. Makes sense to me. Now, Scott, Do you think and no one's really talking about this, but we talk about it here in the house, Brian and I wonder, has crime decreased because
Yes,
people aren't running around and this and is it has?
significantly. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the only thing that
About it.
the only uptick is in crime is the burglaries. So a lot of businesses that have shuttered because of the virus are getting broken into
Because they know no one's there and not ain't gonna be there tomorrow. Right.
Yep, they don't know nobody's there.
So businesses should probably be implementing security systems if they don't have them, just because you can't stay up and sit across the street with your gun pointed at your business.
Right.
Okay, so but for just regular, you know, crime on crime people, you know, mugging
Right.
and this and the other. What about the homeless
all down?
population? That's another thing I don't hear much about. You know, what's happening inside of shelters. Now, we know the hot spots in Detroit and Chicago. We're talking about Cook County and Detroit. We're talking about where the jails are. That's really what we're talking about, but they don't say that. They just say, you know, Cook County, but we know it's the jail. So what about, it would seem to me that right behind that would be your shelters. Are they still open? How are they doing that? What about the homeless people underneath the bridges and stuff?
Yeah, California started out with a great example. They went and got individual RVs for homeless folks, and they set up these large camps. So they did maintain that social distancing, and you know, and where a facility may have had 200 beds, now it's 100 beds because they want to keep them that far apart. I don't know how the bathroom situation works out. Maybe it's just one at a time or whatever type deal. But they went out and purchased or rented lots full of these little RVs, these little trailers and tent campers and stuff like that, and just to get them out of the elements and keep them distanced. And I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah. Listen, you know, one of the things that comes running through my mind every now and then, and I wonder if it will happen, just started thinking about this since people started protesting about their constitutional rights. Do you foresee that there will be class action suits if they continue to try to control, you know, these mandates about stay at home, shelter in place, blah, blah, blah? Do you think there'll be any fallout where people will try to bring legal recourse, you know, because of their constitutional rights being stepped on?
Yeah, I mean, we're a very litigious society, so I'm sure that there's going to be some of that. I know that 3 of the states are in process of trying to sue China for starting it.
Are you kidding?
No. So
Lord have mercy. Shaking my head. I got to ring the bell on that one. Okay. One other thing. What about, you know, how a lot of places, a lot of landlords and things, because we're in the heat of it. We're in the, you know, right in the nucleus, if you will. But as they start relaxing things, people are going to, you owe. So all the hands are going to start coming back out because, you know, everybody's like, oh, we'll push off your payment for this. Oh, you know, all the mortgage companies, all the car companies. Oh, you can buy a new car. We'll deliver it. You don't even have to touch anything and you don't have to pay for 90 days. And a lot of people, it's just like giving people credit cards that don't deserve to have credit cards because they don't know how to handle them. Do you think that a lot of this stuff that the way they're easing that is going to come back to bite us in the, you know what, later? Because I know a lot of people, like, I called all my credit cards and deferred my payments. I called my mortgage company and took 6 months where I don't have to pay anything. Well, that day is going to come. And what if we're still in this thing 6 months or it starts all over again? I mean, are we headed into one of the worst depressions this country's ever seen? This world?
We're on task. We're on track to do that. Absolutely. But, you know, that there's the allure, and I get it too, because if they've got the debt, the credit card debt or the car debt or anything like that, then what do you, if you're out of work and you're working for a small business that's not working right now, and as long as this keeps going on, it's maybe doubtful that business even comes back after restrictions are released.
Exactly.
So you've got this debt, and then you also have the need to feed and shelter and clothe your family.
Yeah, that's
so. What do you pay?
right.
Right.
It's
So I get it.
Yeah, I do too. And it's so interesting. But it really all boils down, in my opinion, to mindset of the original person. If you're from a strict religious fundamentalist background, then you might believe in the doomsday theory and pack up and start buying food and don't buy or trade because you think you're going to have to take the mark of the beast. If you're somebody who's like a vigilante or, one of those people, wearing your camo and you love guns and this and the other, you might be the one to put a fortress around your place and convert your money into silver and just sit there at the ready waiting for somebody to try to come get your shit.
Right.
A lot of how we respond to what's going on around us is based, in my opinion, on our original mindset, your original thoughts. If you're going to move forward from a place of fear, or if you're going to move forward from a place of love and faith. And you got to believe in something. You have to believe in something. So what is your final thought, your Jerry Springer moment, if you will, Scott, as far as what we can all do to really help facilitate the things that are in place that are working, that will really help make it easier for the people, the frontliners, whether it's them or the governors or the people, FEMA, that are really doing things that we can't understand yet and wouldn't even if we had the opportunity to process the information. But from where you stand, what is the one thing that you recommend we could all do that will make it easier to breathe and easier to understand and fall into place with the new normal, whatever that means for each of us?
Yeah. And again, I talked about it before, and I practice it myself, is that don't listen to the sensationalized media. Find another outlet to educate yourself, and then make that decision as a unit, as a family, as a whatever, and on how you're going to move forward. But you need to move forward, and then if that means getting up and walking outside, maintain your social distance, all of those things that we keep getting drilled into our head day after day. But make an informed decision, and
Right.
Don't let the sensationalized aspects of the media drive how you're going to make that decision.
In other words,
seek out other ways to educate yourself on what's actually happening, and from that,
any recommendations, any sites or where do people go to do that? If they're not going to watch news, what do they do? Where do they get this?
Yeah, I will. After we're done here, I will look it up. There's a FEMA document out there that lists every state and province that has a website, and it's factual based type stuff. I'll find that and attach it so people can go awesome. And wherever they live, they can look up the state website, and that's a good place to start.
Awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and away from your family and everything to come and share with us. You've really helped. I hope that helps you all out there to relax a little bit. Knowledge is power. And so we're going to try our best to bring in people that know what they're talking about from time to time without hammering the same stuff down your throat that you hear on the news and all these different theories. Stay safe. Thank you, Scott Gain, for everything. And we'll get you back here again.
Thanks, Loren.
With a decent picture this time.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day. Love to you and the family, and stay safe.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. That was Scott Gain. Tomorrow, join me when my guest will be Jay Jowitz. Brand new guy, never been on the show before, but you're going to love it. We're lightening things up a little bit tomorrow. It's been a heavy week. We're going to lighten things up and give you something to look forward to feel good about, because we need that. So get out there now and do what it is we do. Love up on everyone you can. But remember, in order to do that properly, go and find the mirror first. Love that person, and the rest will follow. I'm Loren. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp, God willing, for our next episode of Bathrobe Moments. Bye-bye.